Here we go. Here we go.
He must know that I'm in the dog fight with him. I'm next to him side by side. We have a bond that's unbreakable. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. Transparency is everything. When I learn, you learn.
Nice. I like it. I like it. Your mic is off.
How about now?
There we go. Got you.
Hold on. I'm trying to connect this other one. See what's going on here. Okay, now we're good. Let me go live on Instagram. Okay, now we live on Instagram. Yeah, man, LA misses you, man. LA misses you.
I miss LA. I miss LA for sure.
Yeah, I know the weather is a whole lot like my little brother lives out in Oregon, and I don't know, man. I'm not from LA. I'm not originally from LA.
Where are you from?
I'm from Mississippi, born and raised in Jackson.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So let me tell you like how my shit happened. Let me see if this works right here. Watch this. Oh, that's even better. You like that one?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm into it.
Yeah. So let me tell you how my shit started, man. Like I originally moved to the Bay Area, right? I had an aunt that stayed up there, and she worked at this place called Pac Bell. Now it's called Pacific Bell, or it's called AT&T, whatever the case may be, right? And I was coming out of college, I went to Jackson State, You went to HBCU too, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Tuskegee. You're a Nuke, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Aren't you an Alpha?
06, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
And so my aunt was like, I told my aunt I graduated May 14th, 1994. And I had enrolled in graduate school because I didn't have shit else to do. I needed student loan money. Like, fuck it. Like Citibank, to me, $3,000-$4,000 a semester in my pocket. I'm not staying on campus. It works out. So my aunt told me, she said, well, you can come out here. And I told her, if I come out there and I don't find a job in 30 days, I got to go back to start grad school because I already enrolled. And I got like 2 part-time jobs, made them to a full, man. And it was like, I asked my aunt Candy. First of all, I didn't know where Oakland was, bro. I didn't even know that the Golden State Warriors played in Oakland because we never see them on TV anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All you saw was the Lakers and the Celtics, right? And then New York, right?
Yeah.
So I had no clue where Oakland was, bro. So I went out there. She actually stays in an area called San Ramon, which is outside of Oakland. And I was like, just let me sleep on the couch. So I did that. So, back in the day, you meet the girls in the malls. Like, I want to go to the mall. I want to go to the black mall. Where's the black mall?
Right.
Because, in the South, in malls like in Atlanta called Lenox Mall, that's a black mall.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
In Jackson, we have a mall called the North Park Mall or the Metro Center. It's really, really nice. You see where I'm going with this? So I asked my aunt,
yes.
I asked my aunt, I said, I want to go to a black mall. I'm 22 years old, dude. I want to meet some women. And she said, okay, they got a mall in Oakland called the Eastmont Mall. Bruh, it ain't the same. Like, it was a swap meet, man.
Oh.
It was a swap meet. Everything stitched, iron on, stitch tackle 12 and t-shirt makers. It was gloomy. It was no black malls.
Right.
Right. So that was my first culture shock because as you from New York, you can relate to this, is that where I'm from, I was the minority. We got a black elementary, black junior high, black high school, black mayor, black fire department, black police department, black and black. Everything's black,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
you knew the other minorities by because you go to a black high school, you know all the white kids. Is only like
Yeah.
10 of them. And so when I came to the Bay Area, it was a culture shock for me. It was like I'm a real minority here, right?
Right.
So my question is to you. First of all, people, I want to give a shout out to David Wright. I met him a long time ago. I met him up at OJ spot. He's always, to me, I think he was really OJ's right hand. Helped him out, you and Angela, and because my first class was with you guys in that group, Water Your Dog Down class, right?
Yeah.
I want to give a shout
Yep.
out to David Wright. Name of his kennel is called Blackwood Kennels, right?
Blackwood Canine. Yeah.
Blackwood Canine, right.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So tell me, man, tell people where you're from, how we met, and where you are now.
Okay. Well, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I spent a good amount of time in Alabama, like for college. Went back to New York, then got a job in the music industry. So I worked as an intern, worked myself up to an assistant, and then moved to LA in 2006 for like a publishing job. So moved to LA, wanted to move to LA because I thought it was going to be like New York, but sunny. That was my first culture shock. It was more of a culture shock to go from New York to LA than it was to go from New York to Alabama. Just because like the way LA was so transactional when I first got there.
Yeah.
And so like that was real different for me. And people weren't as straightforward as they are in New York. So like I always equated like people on the East Coast are kind but not nice. And then people on the West Coast are nice but not kind. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like that was my experience. And then I got a cushy A&R job out in LA. And I was like, man, I need a reason to come home. So I got a dog. Right. And I was like, I need some responsibility. So I ended up getting this dog, and I had a little bit of money, and I was like, I want a badass dog. Like I want a dog that it's going to do all the things that I say when I tell it to do it. And I also wanted to like bite people. Like, like if I could get it to, you know what I mean? If I need to, I want this dog to bite people. So I was like, I got some money. I'm gonna find a trainer. Like, we're gonna get this popping. And ironically, I got on the forums. I don't know if you remember the forums, Gerald, but I got on the forums, and there was this Cane Corso forum.
Oh God!
And I stumbled across Oscar because I was like, I'm looking for a trainer in LA, and Oscar was like, hey, I know a guy. His name is OJ, and he does these classes up at the park. Like, come out to the classes. So, I went out there, and that's how I ended up in dogs. And then years later, ended up leaving my music industry job, started training dogs full time, and got married, had kids, and then moved my black butt to Oregon. So here we are.
Now, what is the difference between Los Angeles and Oregon? Because you're not in Portland, you're out.
So I'm like 20 minutes north of Portland. So I'm close to Portland.
Oh, okay.
But the difference is, well, I mean, there's a lot of differences. One, there's very little color up here. I'll say that, right? So so that takes a little bit of getting used to. As my mother used to say, like you're the fly in the milk. You know what I mean? So so that takes some getting used to. But I think I've acclimated to it relatively well. I'm in somewhat of a small town, so like people know me that I don't even know, which is good for business, but also, you just got to be just aware that like people know who you are. So,
right.
So that's cool. The other difference that I've noticed here is that people are a lot more sensitive than just like really any other place I've ever been. There's a lot of feelings here, and everybody's very, very cautious of what they do and say to each other. So, that takes a little getting used to, especially coming from New York, when you just want to be as upfront and honest about things as possible. You gotta, like dealing with clients, you gotta be, tiptoe around things a little bit more to kind of, make them understand stuff without hurting their feelings.
You know what? I agree, because the professional man, I have to travel out of state a lot, right? And the Pacific Northwest is my region. But I deal with a lot of people in Seattle area, Washington State. Man, you say the right thing the wrong way, they're fucking in. Oh, get him off this case. Oh, I'm like, what the fuck? You got a fight loss. I need to report it.
I just told the truth. Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
it's like it's really, dude, and you would think that it would be the total antithesis, because interracial couples is very common up there, where color is really not the big forefront, But dude, I think they're like that with everybody, and it's just maybe, like my wife always tell me, she said, you know what? It's your delivery.
Yeah.
It's like, it is what it is. No, man, I want to say, man, I appreciate. We were supposed to do this really last week. Was it a week before?
Last week. Yeah.
Some things happened. I don't know. And for me, and we had to reschedule, but we got it dialed in. And I want to say again, it's always a pleasure to God given pleasure to meet people who come from positive people, because I was talking to Justin Rigney, and I noticed that he has a reel going on now from our interview. He said, hey man, the guys in fucking Jersey and fucking LA are fucking banging it. And then I realized, oh, that's the interview from where we had, right? Man, I said, yeah, you know what? One thing about Oscar and them, man, they got good followers, and they got a tight circle, because what I'm learning in this dog industry, I'm not gonna say it's a dog game. It's a dog industry, right? Is that sometimes your biggest critic is not yourself, it's another trainer.
Sure. Yeah.
And it makes it hard, because everybody has their own style. So when I first met you guys with OJ up on the hill, this is when Lewis was at the other end, and you guys had your class over there. Yeah. And I was in OJ class. So let me tell you how it happened. So I was in Adobe's 2010. I had a female Adobe, and I didn't know she was skittish. What the fuck I know, right? Yeah. I just know she was the last one left. Lady said she was gonna be a breeding female. I'm like, oh, great, because she's shaped like a male, and she's big and girthy, and I'm like, that's what I like females to look like. But I was realizing, like, why is she way in the corner while you taking a picture? She said, oh, she was the last one left. Now I realized she was skittish, and those are no-goes for me, right? Yeah. And so OJ was like, we would go to his class, and we would do a little training, and then I would let him keep her at his ranch, and to work on her skittishness. Little did I know that shit is genetic if she ain't been mistreated, and you ain't getting that out of the dog. And I remember OJ told me, he said, hey, Gerald. I said, what? He said, if you take this dog to a dog park, don't come back to my class. Right? Yep. So, that's OJ. Yeah, and I was like, that makes sense. And so you was in the class, you wasn't in the class, you was helping with the class. And I think sometimes when OJ wasn't there, you was teaching the class. Yeah, I was running the class. Yep. And I saw Lewis. Him and Lewis' relationship was always weird to me. That's grown folk conversation. I don't get involved. Grown folk business. But I noticed sometimes Lewis would have Musa, the big black Dobie that used to be owned by Dr. Bill Rutherford. He would have Musa to go almost at the end of OJ's field while he getting a class going on. And OJ would say, hey, Get your dog. I was like,
Yeah.
but Musa was dialed in where he was down there to run for that dumbbell with the parachute and whatever. But I
Yeah.
always respected OJ as a man, but also as a teacher and as a trainer. Because I think people realize, yeah, he's a dog trainer, but he was teaching people how to be better people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And being a brother from the East Coast, from New York, there's a lot of game, a lot of bullshit being ran, and we learned that shit way early in life. And for us to gravitate to another grown man at our
Yeah.
stage when we met him, it's
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah. It's huge. It's huge.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, some people don't look at the little things, but OJ was more than just a trainer. He was more of a mentor. He changed people's lives.
Yeah.
On a very big grand scheme of things. And I want to give shout out to Otis James Knighton, rest in peace.
Yeah.
He was one of those ones. He's going to be a legend in his state. And I think that has a lot. That goes with saying that we need to start really, man, giving flowers to the OGs, man, now and not later.
When they're here. Yep, for sure.
But no, man, tell me, man, like, and I know Karen. I met Karen before because she was at that spot in Gardena. Remember and you guys left. And I think it's always kind of cool, man, to be with somebody who is loving dogs, but not only love dogs, but love the workability of dogs. Like, yo, I love dogs, but my fucking dog got to bite. You gotta work.
Right. Yeah.
My girl, man,
you got to do the work.
Yeah, my girl Steph, man, she's like, she could give two shits if my boys do protection work. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know Karen was in the protection sport, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's a great combination. That's a match made in heaven. But man, tell me, man, like what kind of training have you seen being done in the Pacific Northwest versus what you was taught to do down here? And not really speak on Mondio sport, but just in dog training.
Just in general.
Training,
yeah.
In general. So what do you think is different?
One of the big things that I noticed about here, and I think it's because like there aren't as many resources. I think I was kind of spoiled coming up in Southern California because between Southern California and the Bay, there's so many really, really, really talented trainers, right? So there's just a lot of good information kind of everywhere. But I noticed like here, a lot of times like people like gypsy train. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Where they'll work with this person on French ring today, and then 2 days from now they have another lesson training for IGP, and then the day after that they're doing dock diving. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that if you just like want to do something with your dog, But if you're really serious about competing in anything, then you kind of need to find a plan and like stick to the plan and go through with that. And then once you know that and your dog knows it, then, branch off. At least that's the way I see it. But there's a lot more gypsy training here than I've seen pretty much any place else.
So with the gypsy training, that means they're really not completing the training. They're just getting samples of it.
Yeah. So the dogs aren't really learning all the things. And I think it's confusing for the dogs and the people. Like all the stuff that you're doing has different rules. If I train with this person one day, maybe they train their escort, this way where they don't use, they don't allow the dog to bite on the escort. They just, reward the dog with a toy. Or maybe the next person that they train with does allow the dog to bite on the escort, right? So like it's confusing things for the dogs if you're working with multiple people under multiple programs. And I think like SoCal, NorCal, the way that people train there, I just think people already know that it's kind of built into the sauce that you kind of stick someplace. And if it doesn't work out, fine, you leave and you find another group to train with. But you're on kind of a program and you kind of stick to the program, as long as you're there.
Speaking of gypsy training, and I love that term. Did you get introduced to Mondio through OJ?
Hmm.
So out of all the sports that you've probably dabbled in or experienced in, I don't know if you've done PSA or not. You know, OJ used to run one of the PSA clubs here in LA.
Yep. Yep.
Um, which one you think is more ideal for what you're trying to have your dog achieve? Like for me, case in point, I love
Yeah.
IGP. I love IGP. I love the bark and hold. I love the um, the dog opens up a little bit more in the field, when he's going after a decoy. I love that. But I think it's also for me, I think it's for my dogs, it's easy for me to transition my boys into a personal protection dog when they're already doing a sport work. My question
Yeah.
is to you
For
is
sure.
what do you like about Mondio, and can a dog such as yours do Mondio and be a personal protection dog?
Absolutely. I mean, a good dog is a good dog. That's kind of the funny thing about it. Like I've heard a lot of people say, especially like early on, not so much now, but a lot of like canine handlers would be like, well, that's a sport dog, or someone would be like, that's a police dog or whatever. But a good dog is a good dog. They can do whatever. Um, I'm partial to the Mondio program. I really like the Mondio program, mostly because I think most of the dogs that compete in Mondio have to be environmentally sound. And that's kind of the biggest thing for me. Like, I want a dog that I can take everywhere. What good is a dog that you're gonna train for personal protection if you can't take it anywhere because it's lighting up on everybody,
Yep.
right? If it's not stable, if something falls and it fucking gets worried, or it wants to like tag somebody, or it sees a little kid come up to it and it's like trying to kill him. Like for me, like a good personal protection dog is like a fucking golden retriever that you tell him to bite, and it's no different than you telling it to sit. So
Mhm.
um, there are certain dogs that have, the discernment to know when something is awry, and like, when they need to step it up a little bit more and be more defensive. But I tend to lean on dogs that are really, really environmentally stable. And I think the Mondio program really encourages that, because things are always changing. You're never going to have the same trial. The exercises are the same, but it's always like different stuff that the dog is kind of up against. So that's what I like about it. Any given day, like, it can be different. I love the way IGP obedience looks. Like, I think it's clean, it's pretty. Um, I love the intensity of the fight between the decoy and the dog and French ring. When you have a really good dog and you have a really good decoy, sometimes if you don't have those things, it can be kind of lackluster. Um, but I do enjoy that, a really good decoy, really good dog, and French ring. And then for PSA, I like the intensity of PSA, but sometimes I feel like PSA is a little over the top for me, like, for my personal taste. But I do dabble, right? Like, I have done it, I guess, like I've done a PDC on my old dog. I've helped people get PDCs and ones. And OJ's training, to be honest, like his Mondio training, especially for the first few years, was very much like PSA training disguised as Mondio training. So we did a lot of PSA style work on a lot of dogs, which is why I think actually I've been able to do some of the things that I've been able to do with like some of the police dogs and stuff like that.
Speaking of police dogs,
Yeah.
I have my own views on those, but I haven't seen too many police dogs that the handler really have control over.
Yeah.
They don't have an out command. They got to choke the dog off somebody,
Yeah.
and I kind of chuckle when people say, "Oh yeah, my dog's father is a police dog." What the fuck does that? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well,
I'm like,
well,
did he,
they get,
he got a live bite?
yeah, they get instant credibility for being tough, because they're on the streets. But there are some police dogs that are really, really serious, really nice dogs. I think there are some that are not so serious, which is, also fine, as long as they're doing the work. I think there's just the same way, like, I think maybe 5-10 years ago, police handlers would say, I don't want a sport dog. I think there's this misconception that if you have a lot of control on your dog, that your dog won't be as eager to do the work. right? But we know that's not true. Like I can have a lot of control on my dog, and my dog will still do the things that I ask it to do. And I think you need more exposure to more dogs to know that. But if you got somebody who's at an agency and they've had two dogs their entire career, and the only training really that they've been around is like the training within their agency. They've never seen dogs work at a high level under high stress. They just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had, you know, I've worked some dogs where, you know, the handler, you know, I ask the handler like, hey, where does he bite? Like, what's his primary target? And they're like, he bites. And I'm like, okay. And then, you know, they send the dog and I'm looking at the dog and I'm like, man, like if I step forward like 2 steps, this dog is going to fucking turn around. Like, let me just offer him something, you know, easy for him to bite. So I don't embarrass this guy. But yeah, that's just.
Speaking of that shit.
Yeah.
I remember I had you come to my house, remember, to do a typical, I think, a home invasion. You don't remember that?
I remember doing that.
You came to my house.
I remember coming to your house in Carson, but I don't remember doing like, was I doing a home invasion? Over the fence. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, so let me give the backdrop so we can both be clear on it.
Yeah.
Brody had just had surgery where he had some kind of benign cyst on his hind leg. So remember, we had to reschedule because the stitches were still in.
Yes.
When the stitches were out, now you were supposed to come over the fence. The scenario was come over the fence. Brody's in the house. He's supposed to respond a certain way because now he sees somebody in the backyard.
Right.
And I was pretty shocked, man, that he didn't respond the way I wanted him to.
Yeah.
Like he was like, arf, arf. Like usually I'm thinking that you're gonna go towards the issue.
Yeah.
You don't fucking like get next to me, motherfucker. I can handle me. you go towards the sliding glass.
He was like, you see this shit? Like,
yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, you know, but I remember, and I'm gonna sum it up with that. I remember with Oscar, we did the same thing, but we did it where somebody had a camouflage suit on. It was dark. He was running this way, running that way, and it was dark over there by Irwindale. So we're trying to see his reaction. Yeah. But to say this is that I think the exposure has to be done where the dog knows, okay, this is the mission. Now, it didn't mean that Brody was a fucked up dog. It was like, yo, I never done this before. And first of all, he's never in the house. He was an outside dog.
Right.
So how do you think when a dog is like that for the first time, knowing he's a good dog, you know, what do you think should be done so the next time that happens, he knows what the plan, he knows what the mission is? That
just says more reps to me, right? Like the dog just needs more reps, more scenarios, like, because I think the part that people don't really think about or consider is that dogs don't generalize well, right? So literally if I'm training my dog to sit, and let's say I'm doing that in the kitchen and my dog gets it right 99 out of 100 times, right? And the dog's always sitting in front of me and I'm just handing him a treat. Now I go outside, I'm walking down the sidewalk, I get to the corner, I ask the dog to sit. The dog is going to look up at me like, fuck are you talking about? Right? Not because the dog's an idiot, but because it's out of context. We're not in the kitchen anymore. He's on a leash. I don't have any treats, right? So you got to show the dog is the same picture as many times as you possibly can so that they know that it's okay to do it, especially if you have a dog that you've put a lot of control on. Right. So if I've put a lot of control on the dog to like make sure that they mind me and they don't do shit, I gotta show them the pictures to let them know that like, hey, it's okay. If I say it's okay to do this, like it is okay to do it, especially when it comes to bite work, because a lot of dogs don't really want to bite people. Like that's not really like they have no interest in that kind of conflict. You know what I mean? There's very few animals that just like hunt people or want to attack something that they're not killing to eat, right? So there's a lot of conflict in like the dog saying, hey, like, yeah, I'm gonna go out here and just fuck shit up. There are some dogs that that are about that action, but like most dogs are not that. So you got to show them, you know, and give them the opportunity to see as many pictures as you can. So I've had a couple of police canines, same thing. Like, you know, the handler will come to me and say, you know, so and so failed in this situation. Like, should I be concerned? And it's like, well, has he ever seen anything like that? Right? How did you prepare him for it? And it's like, well, no, he's never seen anything like that. All right, well then it's, you know, not necessarily the dog's fault. Like, let's show him more shit. You know.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
That makes a good point. Now, I've seen a lot of trainers now are switching to Dutch Mally mix. Now the new thing is bull herder. Sometimes I don't know what that means. If it's mixed with a pit bull and a
Yeah.
What type of dog you got?
I have a Malinois, a Dutch Shepherd, and a Rottweiler, and a Yorkie.
Okay. I know your Yorkie probably badass.
My Yorkie bites. Yeah.
My question is, do you think that that most trainers who have those type of dogs you just named, excluding the Yorkie, is that a cheat code for dog training? Like that's a very good cheat code for a demo?
Yeah. I mean, you know, yes. I think they are. I think they're relatively easy to train. Maybe harder to live with, but easy to train. Especially to do flashy stuff because, you know, out of the box, a lot of the dogs just have, you know, a big desire to work for food, a big desire to work for toys. And you don't really, it doesn't really take them a lot of repetition to do it. You know, I remember going from my Corso to my Malinois was a big fucking jump. And, you know, I'm sitting here, I spent so much time trying to build drive in my Corso that I just thought I had to do the same thing with my Malinois, and I made that. And I made a lot of mistakes. Let's just say that. But yeah, I think even then, like my Malinois is the reason I became a dog trainer.
Right.
And that's because I thought I was a better trainer than I actually was. Right? Because she showed up even when I didn't. Right? And so I'm thinking like, oh, I'm fucking genius. Like, I'm really good at this. And I look back on videos of me training her and I'm like, oof, that's bad. Like, yeah, she performed in spite of me, you know?
What do you see like nowadays, like, you know, during this COVID era, a lot of people got dogs. I mean, everybody got dogs during the COVID era. Yeah. And then now I'm seeing a trend where people are doing a lot of online training. Now, for me, I'm not going to say all men, but most men, we're visual creatures, right? Yeah. We're visual creatures. And like me, I'm a Generation X guy. I learn with my hands, right? I gotta feel it. I gotta touch it. I gotta make sure how I'm doing this right. Come show me. There's so many online courses. Then you got University of YouTube. Are trainers now losing clients based on buying online courses? Because I'll say this, there's a guy online right now. I'm heavily impressed. I've been trying to get his ass on his talk show, on my podcast. His name is Nino. He runs that.
Nino Duarte. Yeah, Nino Duarte.
Man, he has the motherfucking dancing, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. STD is called STD.
STS.
I'm like, he had me motherfucking dancing.
Yeah.
And so he sell courses. Now, obviously, we can't go to Great Britain or wherever he's located and take classes. But do you think that that I think people are losing the touch and want to be just watch it online or listen to it versus in person? I always thought in person was the best.
Yeah, I mean, I still think in person is the best. But I'm probably kind of old school in that way too. Like, but I will say, I think it's twofold. So on one hand, I think most people want to train their own dog. right? Like most people think that they're supposed to. So the fact that they have the ability and the access to like do these courses, I think it's good because at a minimum, it gives people more education on how to train dogs, right? And how to live with dogs. Like what, more realistic expectations, I think, than what like most people actually do. But on the other hand, I think that it is also difficult for most people to get the same results, with a regular dog. Like, yes, there are people in Nino's program who do it like with a lab or a golden or something like that. But I think the average like mom or dad or just single person, even like they're gonna have a hard time probably trying to get their dog to do that. And then the thing is, like, how useful is that in the real world, right? Like that shit looks good on Instagram, but like how useful is it that my dog like flips into a heel? Like I don't need that. I just need my dog to like walk next to me and not try to go after this kid on a skateboard. So
I,
I think that kind of stuff needs to be in person a lot of times. Like when you're dealing with like triggers, like you're dealing with like reactivity or anything like that. Um, your sits and your downs and your stays aren't going to fix that by itself. Like you need somebody who can help you control the environment so you can prepare the dog ahead of time so that they know how to do those skills, the sits, the downs and stays around other dogs. But if you just go out and watch a course and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna take the dog for a spin, you probably gonna have a hard time.
to me, I think a combination of both should be done. It's almost like
Yeah.
when we went to
Yeah.
school. You take your course, you go to class, you take your coursework, and then you got to do your own studies. You got to your study
Yep.
group, and then you got to do your own reading, do your own research. And I think that's
Yep.
what we need to be start doing is, and again, it's just this new generation now, David, they're much smarter than us academically because now they have more tools, more. It's very readily available to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
online and type it in.
Think about that. Think about that. Bite work and everything. Like I mean, you would never see bite work unless you went up to the park and to find OJ, and you had to
Right.
find him. You know what I mean? You had to know somebody to find him. But now you go on Instagram and it's just like it's just there.
I remember when, using equipment. I think that's the other thing I want to talk to you about. It's like I see a lot of people using dog equipment improperly. I see a
Yep.
lot of people, man, using the harness as a walking apparatus, like walking in a neighborhood or walking
Yeah.
at the Grove with medium to large size dogs on a fucking harness. And then I see other people, they have the prong on, and the prong is way down here.
Yeah. Mr. T starter kit.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
do you think there needs to be a more emphasis on what these equipments are supposed to be used for? Because I don't think
Yeah.
nobody's knowing.
Yeah. I think more education is necessary, period. But the problem is that people gotta want that and they gotta know that they need it. Like I did an event at like a couple weeks ago now at an apartment complex. So I'll go and I'll do like these just kind of talk to people like dog ownership 101 kind of thing, right? And I was really surprised at how many people just have no concept of what it's like to really live with the dog. And people come up with ideas for what they think the dog is doing or why the dog is doing it. Like, there's no way in the world that they're going to have an understanding about equipment, right? Most people walk their dog, they don't want their dog to choke. So they put the dog on a harness. They sell a bunch of different harnesses at all the pet stores, and people are like, oh yeah, the dog's pulling, but in their mind, they're like, the dog's not choking, right? And so what I always tell people is that, you put a harness on anything, right? It's usually going to be for it to pull, right?
Yeah.
You put a harness on any other animal, it's going to be for it to pull. Even a dog, it's going to be for it to pull. when their chest is out, or their legs are out, their neck is out, they can dig in and get a lower center of gravity and just drag. And if you got a puppy that's 6 months old and you don't come see me until they're 9 months old or a year old, this dog has been sled pulling 100 to 150 pounds to 200 pounds, right, for the average person for months. Like, the dog is jacked. But if you teach them how to walk on a loose leash using a prong, or even a slip lead or a martingale, or a star mark, then you can, at some point, you can walk the dog on a flat collar, right? Or you can walk the dog on a slip lead, right? But you got to teach them how to do that first. And people aren't in it to teach the dog much of anything. They just want the quick fix, like, hey, it's a dog, fix it. What tool is going to fix this for me? And it's like, hey, it's not really any tool by itself. Like, you need the education that's going to go with the tool, to get you straight.
I've been in this dog subculture for 16, almost 17 years. And little things that I pick up now, I would have never known then. I give you an example. Sometimes when you see people demonstrating the great behavior of these dogs in the heel position, going into the down, walking 10 feet away, coming 10 feet back, or going, leaving, and dog come into a hill, come right in the front and go to an OPA. All that's beautiful. And then I look, now that I know what I'm looking for, I said, what is that thing in that man's right hand? Oh, it's an ear collar.
Yeah.
So it's like, now I realize that a lot of these trainers, or I'm not gonna say trainers, some of the trainers have given a lot of people false hope, because I give you my example. Like, my boy Cisco has went for his IGP not once but twice. The first time he went for it, he blew tracking. Of course, the winds were high. 7 out of the 10 dogs didn't pass. The field wasn't plowed. The conditions were horrible. Okay, but he passed obedience and protection. It doesn't matter. He don't get it.
You don't get it, yeah.
Right. Then the second time around, he got an 85 in tracking, an 80 in protection, but 56 in obedience. And you know what's happening is that, like, when the jury's on him and we're training, he's dialed in when the jury's on. But when he's naked, he's doing his own thing. Yeah. And now we have to realize that we can't put him in another trial for about another 3 or 4 weeks, because we don't want him to get trial happy, where he knows, like, okay, I'm on the field, I'm gonna fuck off again.
Yeah.
How hard is it for you to see dogs with clarity, like, okay, it's a time to go to work and it's a time to play? Because that seems to be beyond just maturity of the dog. I think has to do something more of the genetics, mental genetics of the dog, man. And I don't know how to sometimes correct that, because during practice, man, he's running the blinds and all that escort and all that shit. And then when it's time to go in the field, man, when the shit's off.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of things, right? So I think one, right, goes back to the other thing. Like, you just didn't proof it enough, right? Like, you just didn't try to do some of those behaviors enough places that the dog believes that it could happen someplace else, right? So that's one of the first things that I see. The second thing that I see in situations like that is that people are super reliant on the tools. So you can have the tools on the dog, but how often are you actually using it? If you're using it all the time, then the dog's not ready to not wear it, right? If it looks great, or you can make it look great with the tools, then it's actually not completely real, right? So I think you got to be mindful and really pay attention to how much you're actually using your collars when you are training, because you can make it look good when you're training, but if the tool's off and it falls apart, then maybe you're still using your tools too much. And then the last thing, and this thing is, I think, the piece that gets overlooked a lot, especially with sport dogs, is that I think people miss the relationship part. Like, does a dog want to do it for you or with you? What kind of relationship do you really have with the dog outside of like making it do shit? You know, does the dog like playing with you? Like, do you incorporate the things that you're training like in your play? Right? Because if not, then yeah, the dog is going to be like, all right, there's something way over there that's way more interesting than, you know, the shit you're asking me to do. And I don't really want to do this. Right? Like, I don't really want to walk for 100 paces with my head up in the fucking air. Like, it's not comfortable. Right? It's tiring. Right? I'd much rather look around and see if there's somebody for me to bite or, you know, or do whatever. So I think that's the part actually that I would work on first. I'd work on the relationship first, make sure that the dog enjoys doing shit with me and for me, right? And if I have a dog that enjoys doing shit with me and for me with no tools, right? Or maybe a toy, but even the toy, like the dog should still do the things with the toy in its mouth. Like sometimes I'll give my dog a ball and I'm like, hey, run through the position changes with the ball in your mouth. When I say yes, my expectation at that point is that the dog is going to come to me to play with me because the play with me is the reward, not the fucking ball. Right? And so if I have that relationship piece first, then my next piece is going to be, you know, making sure that I'm not laying on my equipment the whole time we're training. Right? If I'm laying on my equipment the whole time we're training, then we need more training. Then I got to break down some steps and make things a little bit simpler for you. Right? And then the next thing is going to be proofing the behaviors everywhere, making sure that I can go to a random field and ask you to do the same thing. If I want you to run a blind, will you run a fucking tree? Right? If I want you to run a blind, will you run around a fucking tire? Right? Like if I haven't proofed exactly what that thing looks like, and regardless of what the situation is, then I don't expect the dog to do well. Right? I just expect them. Maybe it goes okay, but I don't have expectations that my dog is going to do well if I haven't done all those things. Doesn't mean I won't try. Right? I might still get out there. Right? But I also am realistic about the fact that like I haven't done the work. You know.
What clubs out there in your area that you train with, affiliate with now?
So I've been up to I think most of the clubs around here. There's a French ring club called Northwest Dogs, I want to say Northwest Working Dogs. I've gone out and done some trials that they've had for like French ring. Because there's really no Mondio out here. We've done some club stuff here, but I recently kind of shut down my club. But I do like a Friday night bites thing, just kind of fun bites. I've gone up to Seattle, like the Seattle area. There's a club up there out of Seebeck that does French ring as well. And then I've gone to, not for their training days, but when they host stuff, like host certain seminars, I've gone out to the IGP club, Adriana and Dennis's club, but I can't remember the name of the club. Rose City Working Dogs, maybe might be it. Yeah. So, and that's pretty much it. There's not a lot out here.
So if I was to buy a puppy, which I have before several times over, and I'm you, what am I looking for in a puppy at 8-9 weeks old? What are the key things? I'm saying he's the one for now.
I need to know first if they're environmentally stable, right? Like we're gonna take them out of the litter, take them someplace that may be new for them, and just kind of see how they respond to different stimulus in the space, right? I might scruff them, see how angry they get. I might grab their paws. I might throw something near them. I might make some noises. 9 times out of 10, for me personally, I want to see the dog move towards the things that are potentially stressful. Right?
But you also want to see how fast they recover.
Yeah. I want to if they need to recover, right? Because sometimes they're just kind of like whatever, right? You know, how upset is the puppy going to get if I pick him up and like hold him, you know, just kind of hold him like this, right? Away from me. Like what is he going to do? Is he going to try to wiggle out of it? you know. So I look for things like that. And to be honest, though, I don't think you can tell a lot with a puppy that age. I
Right.
don't think you know what kind of dog you have until after teething. So a lot of times, like people will get these puppies and they're doing all this shit with them, and like it looks really good, and then where'd the puppy go? Like what happened to that dog you had? Like it was that badass puppy that you had. Like one, you probably did way too much with it because if you thought it was a monster, right? But two, you really don't know until after teething. That's just my experience, right? Like after teething, then you start to see some of the inconsistencies, some of the insecurities, and you really know like where you are as far as training a dog. I'll take you could hand me any puppy, I'm gonna raise it for the most part the same. And I forgot I have a Tavern too. So I got a bunch of different dogs. All my dogs have vastly different personalities, right? I kind of learned this from OJ. All my dogs have vastly different personalities, but they all pretty much act the same way in most situations. Even my dog that I know is dog aggressive, right? Even my dog I know that's like not that confident around dogs, right? They all pretty much act neutral to dogs because of the way that I've raised them, right? Like so the first time my young puppy like starts, you know, boofing off at another dog that it sees in the distance, I'm gonna correct that. Like I'm gonna be like, hey, nope, we don't do that. Like there's no reason for you to do that. Nothing happening. When I can give them a correction that's kind of firm but not over the top, because I don't want to have to deal with that shit later.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. So I know you said in the beginning that there's not a lot of, I would say, dog trainers in your area. What type of training are you offering out there in your area for your clients?
The main thing that we focus on as of late has been mostly like reactivity. I think it's one of the biggest issues that most people face. And I probably define it a little bit differently than most people. A lot of people look at it as like a dog being aggressive towards another dog. But I look at it as like any response to a situation that is overblown. So even if your dog pancakes on the floor or they start play bowing when they're walking down the street and seeing the dog, like for me, that's reactive, right? I want my dog to treat another dog the same way it would a parked car. It's like literally just a thing in the environment, and the dog should be able to walk by it. And I want them to treat a kid, a scooter, skateboard, a bike, all the same way, right? Like, so I try to stress to people like the importance of like teaching their dogs to be neutral, not excited, not happy to see other dogs or interact with other dogs, just neutral, right? Not worried about people or dogs or anything like that, just neutral, as neutral as possible.
Right. So I'm looking I'm looking on your page. Is it moving? Is it scrolling down?
Yeah. It's not scrolling down.
Okay.
It's just the
How about this?
There you go. Yep, now it's scrolling.
So tell me, if a person wanted to come up and get some dog training, whether it's in person or board and train, where would they go? Where would you show?
So if you're looking to do board and train or in-person lessons, then you can always go to blackwoodcanine.com and schedule a game plan. So we do evaluations, but we kind of give you the keys. So I'm going to look at your dog's strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to give you a score, and I'm going to send you away with some information that kind of helps your particular situation, even if you decide not to do training with me. That page that you pulled up right there is going to be our free course for engagement. So like anybody who, has a dog that's reactive, or even if you don't have a dog that's reactive, you just have a dog that you want to do sports with, this is a free mini course that we have, and it's going to help your dog learn to focus on you in all situations. It's kind of bare minimum what we do with any dog that comes through our program. And it's just kind of a easy, proven method to kind of make sure that dogs learn how to engage with people.
I like that, man. Listen, I've been a big advocate for, I always say, man, get a website. Because, remember back in the day, just years ago, places like Toys R Us and everybody was going out of business because nobody doing in-person shopping. Now, if you think about it, we're trying to go back. It's going back to where we like to do indoor shopping. We like to go and touch it and feel it versus Amazon's still cool too now.
Yeah.
But I like that because see, I tell people all the time, I said, listen, man, I said, any given time, Facebook can cancel your Instagram or your Facebook at any given given time, right? I said, that's rented space. If you have your own website, you control the narrative, you know,
Yep.
and you having a website, dog, is huge. People, if you want to go to his website, go to blackwoodk9.com.
Mhm.
You can also follow him on Instagram at Blackwood K9, all one word, all together. Let me ask you this.
Yep.
Let's take
Yep.
some questions. Oh, somebody chimed in. Somebody named Lisa Griggs. Blackwood K9 did
Hi, Lisa.
wonders for my dog. Shout out to
Yeah.
Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Good to see you.
What do you think now are some of the concerns that you are seeing with these new trainers popping up? Case in point, like Dog Daddy, all that yanking and banking. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah, I've seen that shit. I've definitely
like,
seen that shit.
dude. You see, what's crazy is that, and I'm gonna let you have the stage. What's crazy is that, yeah, he's making the dog submit. You yanking and
Yeah.
banking, but when he gets home, it's reverting right back to the same attitude.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. You ain't making it a fair fight. You got a muzzle on that dog.
Well, muzzle, prong collar, stringing them up. And here's the thing. I know if my black ass was on YouTube doing that.
Oh, you'd have been done. You'd have been fucking cooked. You know that, right?
Man. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the thing about dog training, right? It's an unregulated thing, right? Like you need more credentials to cut somebody's hair than you do to train their dog, right? So, and I think there's some benefit to that as well because, there are certain zealots that don't necessarily understand dog behavior or the quadrants, and so there needs to be some leniency in the regulation. So that's fine. But I'm not too concerned with like new trainers that pop up because at some point what they're doing is not effective and it's not really helping people. They're going to fizzle out, right? After COVID, everybody trained their dog and then like there was just this big like flood of like all these like new dog trainers into the market. And that's fine. Right. Like, and maybe some of them have learned and like they've helped a lot of people. And that's great. I think a lot of people have. Like, I think there are a lot of trainers who have gotten in it, realized that they didn't really know that much, done the research because it's out there. Like the information is readily available now for just about anybody. And I think also like I've even had some apprentices that come in here, they're gung-ho about learning how to train dogs. But then they realize, like, I actually don't like training other people's dogs. I just like training my dogs, right? And so I think the love of dogs is one thing. And so I think a lot of new trainers have the love of dogs, but I don't think a lot of new trainers have the love of training people, right? And that's one thing, like you were talking about with OJ, right? Like OJ was into training people. And so if you're not into training people, you actually really aren't helping the dogs, And so I look at it and I'm like, I think a good amount of those people are going to fizzle out. And even the people who are just here who are like, hey, I'm really good with dogs, but I don't really like dealing with people. Like, I don't think they'll do particularly well either,
Repeat that, what you said about OJ.
OJ loved training people. He loved teaching and training people.
That's right.
For sure.
I really think that when you're training a dog, you actually are training the individual on how to administer those commands with the dog. And it's really a bonding process. Now, because my life is so inundated, I do a lot of board and train now with Al to get my boy dialed in for his titles, right?
Yep.
I'm a stud guy. That's all I do is provide studs.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it is something to be said when somebody is teaching you how to administer your dog's commands. Like
Yeah.
LaRon, I mean, it's just the little subtle things, man. Like LaRon has been teaching me now that makes a huge difference. I give you one example. So LaRon has a new puppy, and he got startled when I pulled the chair out in my warehouse. And as I pulled the chair out, the pup started walking towards it, but then he like got halfway, like, "Oh, I don't know about that chair." And I said, "Good boy, good boy." LaRon said, "No, that ain't
Yeah.
good boy. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, right?" And so from that point, I said, "Oh, you're right. He didn't complete the mission." And then with certain equipment too now, like just recently, like the agitation collars. And all that shit makes sense to me. I'm so used to doing rag work and prey drive building with a dog on his harness. Start him out with a harness. Let him just move and act wild out for this rag. Just keep doing that, right? And LaRon said, "Hey, you know what? Start him on a agitation collar. Not just any agitation collar, the kind that's padded inside,
Mm-hmm.
right?" I said, "Now let him get used to doing agitation and rad work with the agitation collar on. So now when he put the harness on, when he reached that point, he's really fucking acting a fool."
Mm-hmm.
The little things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the little things, like let him work through that discomfort with the agitation collar.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the little things you cannot get online.
No.
You
No.
can't get them.
No. And to be honest, I think some of that stuff is probably gonna some of that stuff is gonna go away, right? Like I look at, for years, training with OJ, he rarely put dogs on prong collars. Like we train most dogs on chokers. You know what I'm saying? And like you can't find a choker, like a trainer using a choker now. Like most trainers don't even know how to use them. You know what I mean? So like things like that. And there's certain times that is the most appropriate thing for you to put a dog on, right? And if you aren't around people who know about those things, who've done the reps, right? Because really that's what it boils down to, done the reps and mess around with the tools, like you just aren't gonna know. And that, to your point before about the new trainers, like if they're not around people who know a lot and have been around and spent the time, training dogs for lots of different things, there's a lot of things that they're just not going to know. So I sound
You
like
know,
an old fogey now, but
no, you
yeah.
know what? I think some of the new stuff that we're learning does work,
Yeah.
but I think some of the old school foundation things are better than the new jack stuff. I think some of the
Yeah.
new jack stuff is just shortcuts.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know, um, I, I've I, I'm still learning how to read dogs that are
Mm.
not mine.
Yeah.
And I remember this is how you hit on it a little bit without hitting on it. The proper use of the prong collar or the absence of using one. I had this Adobe named Bo. I rescued. He was a breeding that. Well, he's an offspring of a breeding I did years prior, year and a half prior.
Hmm.
And the guy, for some reason, he's an electrician. He's a union electrician. "Oh, I'm traveling a lot. I can't handle him now. I'm going out of town." But you got the two Yorkies that's running amok. So I took the dog back. You talking about an insane in the membrane? Like this dog he was one of those ones. Like he was all when he did bite work, it was fight drive. It was never
Mm.
prey. He
Yeah.
wanted to. He was about that action. He's the one
Yeah.
that bit me in my arm and bit me in my back, and
Oh
almost was
shit.
gonna bite. Yeah, he bit Adrian Santano right here in the
Yeah.
armpit, and he tried to bite his wife in the face. And we're talking about why are we trying to feed him a bowl of food? So
Yeah.
so let me tell you how. I think using a slip is always going to be better than using a prong.
Mm,
Um, so we're using a prong. I'm trying to get him dialed in for his brevet. I want to be out there and do it myself. So we out in the field at Granger, behind in Compton,
yep.
and I put him in a. I said couche. I put him in a down position. I walk 6 or 7 feet up. I turn around. He's right fucking here. I was like, why are you following me? I said couche. God damn it! So I took him right back to that spot, and I did a hard correction. Couche, right? Like Oscar said, tonality, right?
Yeah.
And so I put him in the couche, went back again, 7 feet up.
Hmm.
He stands up and started walking. I said, what the fuck? Al said, correct his ass. So I said, boom, couche. And then he did this right here to me. He stiffened up.
Yep.
I didn't know what that meant, right? Motherfucker bit me, man.
Yeah. What the
Yeah,
fuck
he
you
bit me.
mean?
And if it wasn't for me having a hoodie on, he would have got to the
Mm,
white meat. When you
yeah.
bite to the white meat, he,
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
he's close to the bone, bro. And from that point, I realized that every dog, people may not notice, but every dog, they either will shut down or load up or they get their shit right, depending on how you use it. But
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
loaded up on me. And from that point, I just knew I couldn't use the prong on him. But then he attacked
Yeah.
me a couple of times and we put his ass down. He was just too
Yeah.
unstable.
It's too much. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
the slip worked after that. And I realized don't fuck with him with that prong collar. And I think
Yeah.
and people are putting prongs on 4-month-old puppies. I said, why are you doing that? It's like
Yeah.
OJ would tell me all the time. He said, let a pup be a pup.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, he said the word no should never really come out your mouth while he's a puppy. If he's doing
Yeah.
something wrong, pick him up and put him say, poop over here.
Yeah.
All that welling and
Yeah.
correcting on a puppy.
Yeah.
He said, you'll kill a dog's spirit.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
He said, if the dog's afraid of you, he's going to be afraid of me.
Yep. Yep. That's for damn sure.
What
That
was
is
some?
for
What,
damn
was- what
sure.
was some of the most important things that Otis James Knighton taught you during your tutelage of
Oh
him?
man, like it's too many things, bro. Like I mean, like OJ was like a father to me. So like, like it wasn't just dog stuff. It was like human stuff, like man stuff. Like, you know, um if I had to if I had to pick one thing, I would say it's not even so much like stuff that he said as much as just how much integrity he had, you know? Like just how good of a person he was to people. And he was like, if you like your dog, like, then I like your dog. If you love your dog, I love your dog. I'll work your dog as much as you want for as long as you want. And he was always willing to do that. It didn't matter the dog. If you came up to him with a Cavalier King Charles and you were like, I want my dog to bite, OJ's like, all right, come on, let's go. Let's figure it out. And he would do it, and he would invest his genuine like heart and time and energy into helping you get that dog to be the dog that you wanted it to be. And so seeing that has made me, I think, kind of do the same thing. Like I always like I'm very open and inviting to anybody that wants to work. And if I can help you with your dog, I will do my damn best to try to do that. If I can't, also I'll tell you, like, I don't think I can help you, right? But if I can, then let's get in, let's do the work. So I would say that's probably like my biggest lesson from OJ. I mean, if you float around, you'll hear all the quotables. OJ's got a boatload of quotes, but yeah, I would say the biggest lesson was just like his integrity and his desire to help other people and their dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say, man, I appreciate you coming on today. We got to do this again.
Yeah, fun.
I like I said, I never have questions. We just dog
Just
talk,
kind of
man.
go with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
People, if you want to follow David, if you want some dog training, you want some tips, you want some free evaluations or free questionnaire, if you're somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, even if you're not in the
Even
Pacific
if you're not,
Northwest,
we got some virtual programs. Yeah, you
right,
can be wherever. Yeah,
and you can still ship your dog where we here board and train. You do board and train?
yeah, yeah. We do board and trains. Yep,
That's what
yep,
I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking
yep.
about. I want to say, man, thanks a lot, Dave, for coming on to the show, man. And it's been a long time coming. When you come to
Yeah.
LA again?
I'll be down for OJ's thing, so I'll be there.
Next
What,
month?
next weekend? Next weekend. It's the
How long are you going
4th.
to be
Yeah,
here for?
yeah. I'll be there from I think that Friday to Monday, Tuesday.
See,
I leave out on Tuesday.
come in, man. Let's do a couple of rising guards. I have and people know this now, and you can check it out on YouTube. I have, like Club Shay Shay, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so he has a spinoff called Nightcap,
Okay.
right? It's called Nightcap. It's a
Yeah,
30 minute, it's a 20-minute conversation about a
yeah.
particular one topic.
Okay.
One topic. So when you come in, let's try to get dialed in. Come into the studio. I'm over here in Carson,
Okay.
and we'll do a couple of come up with some topics, and we stick to that one topic and we talk about it
All right.
right here in the
I'm
studio.
I'm game for that.
All right. I want to say
Yeah.
thanks again, man. And I always tell people at the end of our podcast, stay resilient, but be responsible. Until
Yeah.
next time, take care.